The city of Bloomington has cleared 4 encampments this year where people experiencing homelessness had been sheltering. The latest was earlier this month when the city cleared an encampment off the rail trail on the south side. Now, according to surveys by the South Central Housing Network, the number of people living unsheltered in Monroe County increased over the past 5 years from 29 to 117. The city and local service providers are partnering to address the rise in unhoused persons. Benta Boutier has been reporting on housing issues in Bloomington. She attended a meeting Wednesday at City Hall, where officials, service providers, and the public all shared opinions and ideas.
The Bloomington Common Council gathered input on what they should do to address homelessness and support work in this area. Attendees broke out into 6 groups, each with a council person. During the first breakout session, groups shared issues they'd noticed. They also talked about addressing safety issues for people experiencing homelessness and others, and ways to allocate resources. During the second round of breakout sessions, groups identified possible solutions and actions City Council can take. One of the suggestions from the group was the city zoning for more housing options. This ties to coverage I've done recently on the Housing Choice Voucher program locally, which national experts support as one of the most effective ways to address homelessness and housing insecurity in communities. Right now, the Bloomington Housing Authority is making its way through the wait list of current applicants. The last time the list opened was late 2023. I spoke to a couple who made it off the list. The Bloomington Housing Authority's Housing Choice Voucher waitlist has tapered down to 980 as of July. Tina McDaniel and J.R. Grundon moved into an apartment together this spring through a voucher. McDaniel was staying at Wheeler Shelter for Women until it closed last September.
We didn't really start seeing each other until after I moved in to Friends.
She met Grundon at Friends' place last year. They would go out to coffee shops together like hopscotch.
We just decided to live together, you know. She needs help, you know, like she's a pretty independent woman, but, you know, still there's certain things she needs help with.
McDaniel is blind. Grundon helps her with medication and does household activities like cooking. McDaniel likes to remain independent, but she appreciates Grundon's help and the trust they've built.
I trusted him for 9 months out of the year, and it took me that long to trust somebody.
The average wait time for a Housing Choice Voucher is nearly 250 days with the Bloomington Housing Authority. It's a point-based system that prioritizes location and vulnerability of an individual. Once someone receives a voucher, they have 90 days to find a place that will accept it. The average housing assistance payment is $800 per month.
The demand, as always, is very high. We have no shortage of applicants.
More than 1,200 people applied in a 40-day period when the waitlist last opened in 2023. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development increased its budget for Housing Choice Vouchers by $2 billion last year, according to a May announcement.
It is a higher amount than it was the previous year, but still there's a gap there. You know, more funding is needed.
More than 40% of people who receive a voucher sign a lease within 30 days. Around a quarter of voucher recipients find a lease within 2 to 3 months.
68% of people are successful with leasing up a voucher. I feel like that number should be much higher. It would have to be disheartening, you know, for someone to be eligible for the program. It's just been that time on the waiting list, you know, to get that help that they need, and then they go out just to be unable to find something.
The success rate is up from 5 years ago when it was 60%. One of the big issues is availability of housing units.
A number of landlords don't accept them, even if their rental range is within the what's called fair market rent for a community.
Fewer than 20 states have laws against income discrimination for renters, and Indiana is not one of them. The number of people experiencing homelessness in Area 10 has remained relatively stable, aside from an increase in 2019. But statewide and nationally, the numbers are trending upwards. Gilmore says moving in with someone you met through the experience of homelessness has potential risks.
Relationships are tricky and for all of us, and so there's unpredictability there, and so that does create some risk for the non-voucher holder.
But he says McDaniel and Grundon knew each other for a while before moving in together.
I think if anybody's got a chance of making it, I think they do.
McDaniel says they still have some work to do getting settled, setting up the apartment with internet and a TV. She'd like some Braille books to read while JR is out of the apartment.
I love the apartment. I'm glad I'm out and on my own. JR is here to help me, but that's what it's for, is if you need help, ask.
She's a hell of a lady. I love her, and we just click in more ways than you can imagine.
Grundon says he'd like to be her registered caregiver. The Bloomington Housing Authority says about 400 landlords are registered to participate in the Housing Choice Voucher program, but only about half are actively participating.